Good evening, this is Lorraine Ogletree, and I'm going to start our February card selections, and the first one is going to be a sympathy card, and this is our card. I don't always like that because I hold it up in front of my face and then you can't see the detail anyway, but we'll look at it closely in just a minute. Okay, so here's our card. Isn't that lovely? And this is a special technique here on the ribbon. Okay, so what we're going to do then is get our materials together. You'll need some Wild Wasabi cardstock, cut 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. Scoring it allows you to fold it in a nice crisp fold. The fold is going to be the left side of our card. Okay, you're going to also need a piece of Berry Vanilla that's cut 4 1/4 by 4 inches. Okay, and this is going to be for our stamped image. Okay. Alrighty. So you'll have to be careful when you go to stamp it. Make sure you dry fit it on the card so you have the 4 1/4 inch side going this way, the correct way across the card. Okay. If you don't, then it'll be just all wrong. Okay, so if you've dry fitted it, leave it laying where you can stamp. Okay, we're also going to need a piece of more mustard cardstock that's cut 4 1/4 by 1.5 inches. Okay, and that's going to be for our little scallop edge. Okay, so the stamp set we're using for this card is Thoughts and Prayers, and it's one of our double mounted sets on wood. And double mounted means that instead of having a sticker on the other side, you have another stamp. Any sticker references go on the end. This may be a little bit awkward for some folks, but they do work. Okay, so to do our flower image, we're going to use markers, Stampin' Right markers, and we're going to have a Wild Wasabi and a more mustard, and we're going to color in the greenery on the stamp, and with the Wild Wasabi, all the leaves and stems. And we're going to do a technique that's called two-step stamping, not two-step, but second generation stamping. Get the right terminology, Lorraine. Okay, so here we go, coloring in the leaves and the stems. It's art, you don't have to be perfect. Okay, alright, and then we're going to color in the flowers with the more mustard. You'll find this card goes together pretty quick. Okay, and then when you've used a marker that dries a little faster than ink pad ink, so you're going to give it a little huff with your breath to re-moisten it, and then you're going to stamp it about maybe 1/2 inch from the top of the card. Give it a little press and lift straight up, and we have our image. Then we're going to make a little second image without reapplying the marker ink. Alright, we're going to huff on it again. We're going to stamp just the flowery end of the branch right below the other one. And that gives us a very faint image below the bolder image. Like a little, like it's trailing off. Okay? Alrighty. Then we want to stamp our words, and for that we're going to use Crumb Cake Classic ink, which is a water-based ink, and from the double-mounted words, also from that Thinking Thoughts and Prayers stamp set. This one says, thinking of you, please know that I care. and we'll stamp that down here in the corner. Okay, so that's some pretty quick stamping. Ready? And then we're going to punch our trim piece, and we're going to use the Eyelet Border Punch. And this has lovely markings, so you can line it up against the silvered black markings here and get a perfectly in line stamped image, punched image. Okay, so we have our trim piece, and I forgot a step we're going to do, because we're gonna distress this just a little bit. So we're going to continue with our ink, and that stamp piece we just did, we're going to give it a little distressing around the edges. You just take a sponge wedge and dab it on the ink pad and rub it around the edges. We want to kind of highlight the word area, so we're going to kind of darken down the rest of the card image here. So we'll just kind of put some of that around and then leave it clear around the words. Okay, I'm not going to correct this right now while we're making this video, but if you look at my stamped image, my G and some of my words didn't come all the way out, but you can fix that easily with a crumb cake marker. You can go back in with the marker and fill that in and fix it. Okay, on our card we have a fancy little bow here. Let's go ahead and assemble our card. This goes together so quickly. So you're going to snail the border piece onto your stamped image and then place it on your card. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now, but I'm going to move on to the technique with the ribbon. The ribbon used in this card is really seam binding, and this is very vanilla seam binding. And what we're going to do is put a little color on one half of the image, on half of the ribbon. So to do that, we just take our marker and just color in half of it. Pretty simple process, but gives a striking effect when it's tied in a bow. Okay, I'm not going to continue with that. And you will have to let it dry. This is a pink pirouette, and it will dry lighter. I think it's, no, wrong. Blushing Bride. Okay, Blushing Bride marker, Stampin' Right marker. And anyway, so then let that dry. It won't take it very long. And then you tie your bow, trim your ends, and attach it to the front of your card with a mini glue dot. Wasn't that fast and easy? Hope you enjoyed that card. Now we'll move on to the next one.